Bonjour et bienvenue sur votre chaîne d'information Journal d'Afrique. Si vous êtes nouveau, n'oubliez pas de vous abonner pour ne plus rien manquer car l'information vous donne accès au monde.
Opening statements to you, and then afterwards we will take 3 questions. Thereafter we close the press conference. President, you have the floor, please.
I hope it's on. I'm going to ask that we all observe a moment of silence and silent prayer for the 8 people who lost their lives yesterday at the stadium. Thank you. And let me start by expressing our deep condolences to the families of the spectators who came to our Olembé stadium yesterday and who passed on. I went to the hospital this morning to see those who were injured. There's approximately 7 that were injured, and we spent some time. Last night I was on my way to the hospital and I was told, please do not come to the hospital because there may be many people, and particularly media, who might come with you, and the focus was allow us to try and focus on the people who are injured, as well as to make sure that we deal with those who need urgent attention, and that's why the instruction was we will indicate to you when to come and see those who are in hospital and those who are injured. So I just want to indicate that there's of course there are legal agreements between CAF, the LOC, as well as legal agreements involving the government of Cameroon. What I'm clear in my mind, what I'm absolutely clear about is spectators come to a football match to enjoy the football. Whatever legal obligations or legal commitments there may be, in my mind, are of secondary importance, all of us. I know that legally the LOC is responsible for the safety and the security, but we are their partners. And we have to make sure that the safety, and of course we've been focusing more on COVID-19 and the health of every single spectator is our primary concern. So there is zero tolerance, absolutely zero tolerance on circumstances which could result in people being injured at the stadium or people losing their lives. We have to take emergency and urgent steps now. So I have called a meeting tomorrow of the AFCON organizing committee, and I've also sought the guidance and advice of my vice presidents, whom I want to thank for being here with me. And the starting point is very clear. I need, and CAF needs, a report on what happened, what should have happened, the circumstances that led to people being injured, including those who lost their lives, urgent emergency steps and measures to make sure that that doesn't happen again. We are all partners. And whenever in my discussions with the CAF people, and I think they legitimately tell me about what the agreements provide, the responsibilities, the LOC, the responsibilities, the government, we are partners. And when people get injured and people lose their lives, the last thing I'm interested in is to find out who, it's somebody else's responsibility, it's not mine. We have to take collective responsibility. And whatever the legalities may be, we will deal with later. So that's why there is no tolerance, zero tolerance on the circumstances. And I went to Olembé Stadium to see exactly where it happened. And I've been given lots of feedback and had lots of discussions until very early this morning. And the first thing that I'm going to ask the organizing committee is, the next match that's supposed to take place at Olembé should not take place. And I spoke to the senior person in government, and it's correct, out of respect, they're our partners, to indicate that there must be an immediate, a committee that's set up to immediately investigate what happened. And in that context, to find out who was supposed to do what and who did not do and perform their responsibilities. We want that report by Friday. But as I said, the game that is scheduled for Olembé Stadium on Sunday is not going to take place. And as I said, out of respect to our partners and government, it's going to take place at Amadou Ahidjo. So it's going to take place at Amadou Ahidjo, and which is here in Yaoundé. And there will be other changes that will be made, but I need to overemphasize. And let me first say that we have inherited the agreements as they stand, because these agreements were concluded quite some time ago. And of course, as I said, whenever something happens, the first thing people do is, I'm not responsible. I'm not the one to blame. It's somebody else. And my starting point is, CAF is a partner. We are as responsible as the LOC, as well as the government. It's our duty. And we will discuss with them in terms of what should have happened, and to make sure that there is immediate institution. And we all have to be satisfied. I absolutely have to be satisfied that what happened will never happen again. Absolutely never happen again. And the disciplinary committee is going to sit and get the report from the match commission and everybody, because they have to get hold of that. But as I said, in the interim, the game that is supposed, the match that's supposed to take place, will not take place until there's an absolute thorough report of the circumstances that gave rise to people being injured and losing their lives, and an absolute guarantee that corrective measures have been taken, will be in place, to make sure that the remaining matches are played in an environment of primary focus on safety and health, and that we will never, ever, whilst this competition is continuing, have circumstances that will result in people being injured. So I'll be hosting a meeting tomorrow of the organizing committee, and what I've said to you will be discussed there, but I've already been sending notices to the members of the AFCON Cameroon organizing committee to agree to my suggestion, and as I've said, I've spoken to the government, and they are supportive, and I must say that that there is a huge amount of commitment, a huge amount of recognition that that there's a need for urgent intervention. And I would not want to speculate. I should not speculate until the hearing or the committee that is getting all the facts and the report of the coordinator, executive coordinator, general coordinator, and the report of the match commissioner and everybody in terms of what happened has been submitted. So I'll take a few questions, and I know they said 3, but I think we've got to rush off. And if you allow me, I'll take them and we'll write them. Just hold on. I think we've got a duty to deal with the questions as best we can. Yeah, I'll come. Don't worry. I have to get on the plane afterwards to go to Bafusame for the next match, and then be back tonight. So we have a duty to answer as many questions as we possibly can. Just keep it as close to making sure we are not late for our next engagement. And then we will, I think what will happen after the meeting of the organizing committee will release a statement. So with your permission, they will take the first few questions and I'll allow others, okay? So I was just being reminded that we are instructing every match that takes place now. There'll be an observance of silence and an observance of respect. That instruction has already been given in recognition. And let me say, CAF will be in touch with the families of the people who have passed on, every single one of them. And as I said, I visited those who were injured at the hospital, and I'm told those who have left the hospital, the ones I saw are the ones that have got serious injuries, and I'm happy that they are recovering. And they said the others who are injured have gone home or are at other hospitals where the injuries are not of a serious nature. So, and part of engaging with the families is to say, how can we help? Let me just repeat. The way the legal arrangements stand now is that the security is the responsibility of the local organizing committee. It is not the responsibility of CAF. CAF's responsibility is to advise. This is what the legal arrangements entail. And that's why I was saying that, whenever I talk to everybody, the starting point is, but, CAF has no legal obligations. It's not CAF's responsibility. CAF is not the one to blame. I mean, I understand it. There's the legal position. I understand that's what the contracts entail. I understand it. But we are partners. This is not a time to be pointing fingers and saying, there's a problem and it's everybody except me. The starting point has to be, we all have a duty, a huge responsibility. And we'll get on top of it and we will release the findings, as I said, concerning the circumstances and how we fix them. Let's hear the questions you've identified. Who's the first question? Yes? Yeah, I'll be guided by him. Who's the first one?
Gentleman in the middle, President.
Blue
shirt, please.
Okay. And as I said, after he's taken, I'll open it up so that you can some of you get them, okay?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Clive Jazz is my name.
Yeah. And my apologies. And those who speak French, please ask your questions in French. They'll be translated to me, and I'll answer them in. My name is Patrice, but my French is, and I'm learning. You must teach me French because my father didn't call me Patrick. He called me Patrice, which is French. So I've got a duty to. Anyway, so let's start with you.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon. Clive Jazz is my name. Journalist from Uganda.
Yeah.
And probably thank you for that comprehensive report. And while we wait for more official statements, like you said, from the meetings you're going to have, maybe we would be more interested if we got to know exactly what might have happened from the few briefs you got by visiting the site, the few people you talked to, what exactly happened, what caused the stampede.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly what the hearing is doing. We have a duty to find out, as you correctly said, exactly what happened, and I think more importantly, to put in preventative measures to ensure that what happened never happens again. that clearly there were deficiencies, clearly there were failures, there were weaknesses, there were things you can't. There are things that that should have been foreseen. And come on, you take preventative measures. You take steps that anticipate that if certain things happen, those interventions will ameliorate or preferably bring to an end circumstances that can give rise to injuries, let alone loss of life. Where's the next question?
Next question, we will go to the back. We'll try and rotate everyone, so please. We'll go to the back and then afterwards we'll come back from the front. So please be patient. Oui, monsieur.
Bonjour, Président.
Bonjour.
Riyad Razi, Flash Radio Maroc. Président, merci de votre explication.
Okay, now I need to put on my yeah, this one. So you must help me now. Is it on? Right?
Yes.
Just help. Yeah, just put it in there. I always get it wrong when I.
This is French. This is.
And then there's a Chinese. Oh, thank you.
C'est bon?
Yeah, English is one. I can hear you.
In English?
Okay, I can hear you. So you are translating to me. Thank you so much. Merci beaucoup. Continuez.
Oui,
Continuez.
Président, merci pour votre explication de ce qui était arrivé hier. Président, ma question, est-ce que vous ne pensez pas que vous avez pris des risques, surtout d'organiser la CAN à cette situation-là? Merci.
Very, very good questions. You see, my main risk was COVID-19. My main risk was Omicron. Those were my main risks. And then the other risks are the sort of fundamental steps that you have to take even if there's no Omicron or even if there's no COVID-19. The safety, security of spectators has to be the fundamental primary concern and obligation. Now let me tell you something else. And I don't want to breach any confidence. I have no doubt that there's a huge amount of commitment, and I've seen that and I've been exposed to that, and that's why I felt confident and continue to feel confident that the people of Cameroon, the government of Cameroon is absolutely 100% committed. I've seen that and I continue to see that, and I've got no doubt I'll get that total cooperation until the end. I have a fundamental duty as the president of CAF to make sure that the circumstances, the infrastructure, the facilities at the stadium are in line with safety worldwide. And as I said, we should stop saying that stadiums in Africa will be at a level in terms of global standards, will be at a lower level. We will always aim to make sure that in its totality, whether it's the pitch, whether it's the safety, whether it's the security, that we're in line with what happens in Europe and worldwide. And one of my advisors was saying that, you know, even in the best stadiums, there are accidents and problems do happen, but we have to make sure that at all times the infrastructure and the resources are world class. Was it a risk coming here? I'm involved in so many ventures worldwide, and my duty is always to not just to take responsible steps, but also, because I'm more inclined to be conservative, to be as conservative as possible and put measures in place that minimizes the loss of life. So I'm happy and pleased with the measures that are in place. I'm extremely disappointed and sad and hurt with what has happened yesterday, and everything possible is going to be done to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Okay, if we can just move to the gentleman, I'm going to come to you, I promise you. I just need to go to the one at the back and then I'll come to you. Thank you very much.
Alex Chismich, New Frame, good morning.
Talking about responsibility.
If you can speak a bit loud, that will help.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Good morning, Alex Chismich, New Frame.
So Alex from?
Chismich from Italy.
Oh,
New Frame.
Italy. Yeah. Buongiorno.
Buongiorno. Talking about responsibilities and security measures, are you aware that around the Olembé Stadium, just a few entrances are available to deal with a huge flux of people entering the stadium? And if you are aware, why, who allowed games to take place in that stadium? Thank you.
Yeah, you see, let me tell you, I mean, I spent more than 2 hours in the car. Had a security, had an escort, they couldn't move. I arrived 10 minutes before the match ended. And I was told, don't worry, it'll take you maximum an hour. So I left way in advance. I think, in all fairness as well, there was an abnormal number of people. Let me say this to you. One of the ladies who's injured and that I saw this morning, and I saw a number of women, she came to the stadium with her son, with her small son. And 2 others came to the stadium with very young children. And I'm told that some of the people came just to be part of the atmosphere, and including those who didn't have tickets. So I think we do accept that thousands of people, more than what was expected, did arrive. Having said that, we will have very tough and very hard discussions behind closed doors. And I'm confident because of the discussions I had this morning. What happened yesterday in terms of the proximity of people being allowed to the stadium in a manner that is not properly coordinated and governed will never happen again. Should never happen again. I went to see where the people lost their lives. I went there this morning. And you see it's a gate, and I'm not preempting what the discussions are because another journalist asked me the same question this morning. That gate was supposed to be closed and it was open. Isn't that correct, sir? It was supposed to be, it was supposed to be open, because if it was open, they would have walked through, and it was closed for reasons, for inexplicable reasons. It was closed. If that gate was open as it was supposed to, we wouldn't have had this problem we have now, this loss of life. So of course, as part of the hearing, we want to know, but who closed that gate? Who's responsible for that gate? And it's, as I said, it's inappropriate. I should not be conducting or even expressing opinions whilst the matter is still under consideration and is still in a hearing.
Merci, President. I will take the gentleman here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, President. Bilal Giza from Bein Sports. Will what happened yesterday affect the success of this edition? Even before, people they were talking about the fields.
They're talking about
the fields.
Oh, the pitch.
Good. Yeah, and also about referees.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, you've got to. I mean, there are two issues. We have to put in the best circumstances, conditions, infrastructure, best plans, best resources to make sure that we deal with any eventuality in line with best practices in the world. And the facts are, even in Europe, in America, worldwide, with the best infrastructure, resources, personnel, accidents do happen. And we should not compromise in terms of our insistence to have these appropriate measures which are in line with the best in the world, and accept that there may be unforeseen circumstances like this one, but I don't even think you should call this an unforeseen situation where a gate which is supposed to be open is closed. So I just want to conclude by saying that, you know, there has been very serious and very hard discussions that we've had amongst ourselves with our partners and with our partners in government. And the message I want to overemphasize is there's a huge amount of commitment to ensure that that appropriate measures are put in place that this doesn't happen again. Yeah, we'll go random now. Yes, yeah, there's a gentleman there.
Alex Bleguer-Momha, Spotlight de l'Union africaine des radiodiffusions, votre partenaire. Alors la question est de savoir, au-delà de cet accident, cette situation malheureuse, quel est votre regard général sur l'organisation de la compétition dans les stades et au-delà des stades?
Yeah. I think we've got to be very clear. We've got to start and say we are absolutely sad, hurt, and emotionally in a condition of pain, and we should not sidestep that issue. And the next point is we should not compromise on our insistence that appropriate measures will be taken, should be taken, to make sure that this doesn't happen again. And once we've reaffirmed those two fundamental principles, we can then move on, as we have to, and look at the important questions you ask. And I must say that we remain absolutely committed to make sure that the very high standards that we set for ourselves, and you must understand that, you know, if you are part of a football team and your job is to be the goalkeeper, you depend on the strikers and the midfield, and you depend on the remaining 10 for the success. I mean, that's life, and that's in everything we do in society. So, I mean, sometimes I'm the goalkeeper, and I think that, you know, on my own, I constitute the 11 players, and that's not totally correct. Or I'm the striker, or I'm the midfielder, and I think I'm the, you know, I'm the only one who should score goals. So I just want to emphasize that the success of the competition depends on us, with our partners, the government and the local organizing committee, and I remain convinced. And as I'm saying to you, we had very hard, very tough, very serious discussions, as we have to, as we are supposed to. When people lose their lives, you must be angry, and you must be impatient, and you must ask questions, and you must demand explanations, and you must demand a guarantee that it'll never happen again. We've done that. And I conclude by saying, I have the comfort, and tomorrow when we meet with the leadership of the organizing committee, I will reaffirm that. But I'm going to be a little bit more paranoid. I'm very obsessive by nature, but now as we move forward, we want to see things, and I've got that commitment from the government happening in advance. This is a situation that we all of us, including the government, including the NOC, will not and do not tolerate.